Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and my goodness, did I put not only an incredible panel together, but the show is going to be complete fire from start to finish. Literally, it's packed with so much information. I'm not sure if we can get it into the 2-hour block, but we're going to give it the old college effort. My outstanding guests are some of YouTube's hottest and most interesting people, and I got them locked down for 2 hours today. So let's introduce them. First up, he's a major part of the Saltiest podcast, head stomper of all internet trolls, a gamer who's on a mission to put the sense back in sensibility, someone who takes no shit and has been known to bust out in song at the end of podcasts. My very good friend, Titan Drago, welcome to the show, dude.
That's right. If you caught TSGP tonight, my outro had a nice little song in it we all enjoyed. But yeah, man, I'm locked down by Mr. Boomstick, and I kind of feel like Bungie right now without the escape. So I'm ready to escape at the end of this one.
Well, I appreciate you being here, dude. I know you're not feeling well. Yeah, thank goodness you got your voice back just in the nick of time. So thanks again and welcome. Next, we have one of the hottest gaming personalities on the YouTube scene, awesome panel member of the RDX podcast, an excellent speaker when it comes down to tech, and one of the most crispy smooth gamers I personally know. Welcome, Zolker87.
Oh man, what an intro! That crispy smooth, you threw it in there. Of course,
you like that, right?
I mean, how are people else? How is everybody not gonna know who I am? Yeah, it's good to be on. Boom! Thanks for having us on, man. Can't wait to talk about all the stuff we have today. It's a little early, so let's get the brain working.
Yes, well, there's a lot to talk about, and I think when it comes to games, I think it's real easy. You just kind of gotta shake off the rust, if you will. Well, yeah. Listen. Next up, he's been running in these YouTube streets since 2013. He's in the hunt for the magical 1,000 subs in 2019, so get to his channel and subscribe immediately. Die-hard gamer at heart, someone who's a bona fide sci-fi nut and a proper gentleman who considers himself a sarcastic Brit. My very good friend, Jamie Moran. Welcome, dude.
Thanks for the intro. I like that. Thanks for having us on. Let's talk about this Bungie stuff. I really want to get into it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna really get into that. And last, but certainly in no way least, he's a gamer whose allegiance and respect starts and ends with how good a shooter is. Someone who loves quality RPGs, panel member of the Scumcast, major contributor to the very excellent Basement Radio Arcade podcast, and platinum member of the hashtag Spectre Super Secret Unit, my very good friend, Slow Mo Backslap. Welcome, dude.
Boom, man. You get better and better at this. I tell you, man. Like you're going to give Lord Cognito a run for his money when it comes to
That's where I learned it from. No one does it like Lord Cognito. We'll get him a big shout out to the Iron Lord podcast.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait to get started, man. These topics are fire, yo. Yesterday was great. I was just like the whole time yesterday. I was like, I cannot wait to get on Boom's podcast and talk about this stuff, because this just yesterday was awesome. Awesome for gamers as well as some of these developers that have been in publishing hell for a little while.
Listen, we've seen it, and I hate to say this. I mean, when you talk about publishing nightmares, the first two that jump off the page, of course, are EA, which we know their tactics, and Activision is always at the top of that, talking point as well. And we see, what happened. We're going to get into what happened with Bungie. We see what's going on with Blizzard. I mean, there's a lot of corporate infighting. We know how they were able to get the Call of Duty franchise away. It's all dirty tactics. And this is something that has been going on for years. And I think they're in trouble. But you know what? We're not here to talk about them. We are here to talk about how Bungie escapes the partnership with Activision and somehow, some way, retains the rights to Destiny. In my opinion, they did the unthinkable. Now, no matter how you feel about Destiny or Bungie, at its core, they are an incredible developer. End of story. Their shooting mechanics are literally second to none. Many decisions that were made post Destiny 1 and 2 obviously came from Activision, and most will agree that they made those decisions based on greed. Now, that 10-year deal that they signed back in 2010 was considered by many, including myself and everybody on this panel, I believe, a deal with the devil. Now, it's a proven fact that Activision ruins everything that they touch. And like I said in the opening, Blizzard is a perfect example of that. Now, what happened today, in my opinion, and I'm going to get everyone's opinion in a second, is probably the biggest thing to happen in gaming since Bungie left Microsoft. I mean, there's been a lot of things that you kind of like, you take a step back as a content creator and you talk about it, but this was monumental, completely came out of left field. I heard that there was rumblings. I'm going to be honest with you. I read anywhere between 50 to 70 articles per week. Like, I really put a lot of work into this channel. I hope it comes out that way. And I did not hear anything of this possibility, of the possibility of this happening. Slow-Mo, I have to start with you because I know you're a Destiny fan.
Mm-hmm.
How taken aback as a gamer, not as a content creator, as a gamer, were you yesterday when you heard this news?
You know, it was like half shock, half, you know what? I kind of this makes sense, you know, because there's been this tension between Activision and Bungie for a while. And if you've read Jason Schreier's book, Blessed Wasn't Pixels, he has a chapter in there about Bungie and Destiny, and he talks about, you know, some of that tension that has been there and brewing since before Destiny 1 came out. Also recently, there have been a lot of rumors and rumblings on Twitter, and you would see things like Activision come out and say, we feel like, you know, Destiny Forsaken was a disappointment, and we're going to further monetize the game in 2019. And then Bungie would counter on Twitter, we don't think the game's a disappointment. We're very happy with how Forsaken turned out, and we think the game's in a great place. It's like you don't see a publisher and a developer publicly, you know, have a spat on social media.
Publicly, yes.
Yeah, that's just like so unusual. So for a lot of people, it was just like, something might be going on here. And when there was some rumblings earlier from a lot of people who have sources within Bungie that, hey, something's happening. They're having a big team meeting right now. My thought was, Bungie is saying, take Destiny, we're out of here. And we're going to leave, and you can have the franchise. It's kind of similar to how things turned out with Microsoft and Bungie. Like a decade ago, where Bungie was like, you take Halo, okay, we're going to move on independent. And so, but now they got Destiny, which that was the big shock to me. They actually were able to retain the IP. And then it also kind of makes me kind of feel like on Activision side, maybe they kind of don't value the Destiny IP anymore, that they feel like the IP is damaged to the point where it's not viable for them to keep it. Their shareholders don't see any value in it, because Activision, they're all about the shareholders. They're all about making money and year over year growth and profit. If they feel like they can't do that with Destiny, and honestly, the whole gaming community feels like if Bungie was out, no one else is really going to pay Destiny any mind. So it's kind of like the best move for both parties. And obviously, Activision is taking a massive hit right now on social media, but I do have to be a bit fair here. There's some decisions that haven't been made with the game, and a lot of them have been monetized, have been like for a monetary reason, and therefore it's all motivated and rooted in what Activision wanted. But then there are some things, like the most recent controversy that happened earlier this week, where they have a puzzle that no one can figure out, and that you need to unlock this puzzle in order to play the new DLC that you paid for. It's just like little decisions like that. People are like, what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. And then they just go from, there are people who've been, you know, content creators, Twitch streamers who have been up 18 hours trying to get this done. And then they out of nowhere just go, hey, look, it's unlocked. Everyone can access it now. Like it's like the backlash between the Destiny community. It just looks crazy, and it's so there's so many little things like that happen. Like I don't think that's an Activision thing. I think that's a Bungie trying to stretch out their very meager content that they have to keep doing these content updates because Activision wants revenue on a quarterly basis in order to appease their publisher. And hopefully without any of that they can get back to just making good games and delivering content that the Destiny community wants.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is, sure, the shackles have been taken off. And we know that there's going to be big things coming. Zolker, I know you did a video, which, by the way, was incredible. And I know you're working on something in the background, and I think everyone should check out your channel. More than that, sub it, because I think that you're a rising star on YouTube. I really do like your work. How, as a gamer, were you taken aback yesterday?
To be honest, I was really happy to hear that they split up. Like a little breakup, but at the same time I sat there and I was like, this is going to be really hard for Bungie to move forward, because this game, it's really correlated with, it's almost like the MMO on a console. That's what it's correlated to. It's like the biggest MMO I know is World of Warcraft, and even they, which is Blizzard and Activision again, but Blizzard has this system down of bringing out content for their players, regularly, but they still have lulls. They still have 3 to 4 month lulls of no content after a raid that comes out, and people really get irritated by it. And I'm looking at Bungie going, how are you going to bring out content in a timely fashion without a publisher? But on top of that, the game takes a lot of time to make content, like the puzzle that Slow-Mo just brought up, and he said it's just padding. They're padding their content so people play the game more and don't complain, but in reality, you're not really doing much.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem to me. That's a problem, that how are you going to bring out content quick enough for people to keep engaged, and how are you going to have the funding to do that? And Bungie apparently cheered, is what they were saying, cheered when they left Activision. And then somebody else who was an insider said, yeah, they also cheered when they left Microsoft, because they didn't want to be stuck making Halo, apparently. But then they go out and make basically a Halo clone in Destiny 2 or Destiny, right?
Yeah.
And so Bungie, I just think like sometimes they get in these situations where they get funding from a publisher, or they go with the publisher, and then after a while they're like, well, we want to do our own thing. And that's all great. I love Destiny, to be honest, when it first came out. It was the first game I ever bought on my Xbox, because I got my Xbox One when Destiny came out. And I played the hell out of it. Me and my buddy played the hell out of it for a week or two, got everything in the game, and then we were like, okay, what else do we do? That's just how we play those games. And I'm going to be jumping in Anthem when that comes out and playing the hell out of it. You're going to see me on for a long time playing that game, and I'm going to do everything I can, because that's just how I am. The only game that's kept me binged, basically, where I can go for weeks on end, is World of Warcraft. And that's what I want from these kind of games. And I don't know if Bungie is going to be able to do that with the funding they have. Like, I'm just being honest. I'm happy they split up because of the regular revenue they had to bring in every year that basically Activision was asking them to do. Every year, you better bring something out at least 2 to 3 times, even if it's shit. Put it out there. And I hope that doesn't, I hope that doesn't happen anymore. But at the same time, people need to realize that it's going to take a long time before you get content, or before you see the Bungie game you want to see. Right. And being independent is no slouch. It's not easy. Look at all these independent studios that are being bought up by Microsoft.
Yes.
And I'm not saying Microsoft's going to buy them. What I'm saying is, look at all these struggling independent studios that are out there trying to just make ends meet and keep the lights on. Bungie's going to find that out real quick. And I know they got funded, I think, $100 million by NetEase or something.
150 actually from NetEase, but that is supposed to be just for the new IP. That has nothing to do. That's nothing to do with Destiny 3. Will they use some of that money? I don't know. You don't want to see a platinum situation here, right? Like, they were just funneling the money for another game, like like what they did to Microsoft. I don't know. We're going to get into there's a whole back end to this topic. This isn't going away anytime soon, because Microsoft is going to come into play. And I know I've been reading the tweets like crazy, and there's been a lot of like real nasty stuff out there regarding I don't know if they're ponies or they're just toxic people. But I want to get into that. But first, I have to say two things. First of all, Dream Eater dropped a $5 super chat, and I cannot thank you enough, dude. That is a big deal. He says, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for being here every week. And the RE demo was insane. Yes, we will be talking about that. And it certainly was. I stayed up last night past 1 a.m. to play it. I could not put it down. And of course, a huge, ginormous thank you to Caboose V42 with the $25 super chat. Dude, that's insane. I really, you've been a big supporter since day one, and that's amazing. So thank you so much for that. It is definitely greatly appreciated. But you know what, Jamie, I know that you've been chomping at the bit to get into this. And like I said, we're going to come around to everyone a second time, because this is the biggest thing that happened in gaming, in my opinion, in the past maybe 10 or 15 years, and it needs to be discussed in a proper manner. What were your takeaways from Bungie not only leaving Activision, but actually taking their ball home and walking off the court? Because normally we know that Activision keeps everything. And Slow-Mo, I think, said it about they don't feel that the IP has any value, which I think is bananas, because I think it does. What were your takeaways from everything that went down yesterday, Jamie?
Whew, well, this has been going on for years. Like before yesterday, like first of all, I just want to say, like, go back to when before the first game was even like shown. I was hyped to see what Bungie was making next, and then when they were putting out all these videos of what you could do in the game, and then there was a lot of cutscenes in a lot of the Vidocs they were doing that were narrative based, which were never in the game. So to me, Bungie put out a game that I was looking forward to more than anything, and I was just disappointed in. And then ever since then, we've heard that the whole Marty O'Donnell situation was messed up. The whole
Yes.
Joseph Staten thing, his story was completely rewritten within like months of before release, and all these different things that were just like making the game less of an RPG, what they were wanting to make, and making it more of this quasi MMO light, which wasn't really an MMO. And then when it got to like after the first set of DLCs, we began to hear that they were on these old Halo Reach engines, on these like just terrible hardware that it took them like 19 hours to boot up sometimes. And making content for a game like this, which everyone wanted MMO type support, it wasn't getting that type of support. So the content that we're putting out, people weren't happy with. People dropped off, and then when Destiny 2 came out, people were expecting a new engine, and well, no new engine. And it's all been going for years, and I've always got this impression by Bungie and the developers that they've always not liked Activision. And it's funny because they left Microsoft to do their own thing, and they signed a deal with the devil, or shall I say Activision. And it's just gotten worse and worse over time. They added a secondary currency to Destiny, and more people are getting angry. Like, there's a million videos on YouTube called "Is Destiny Dying?" blah 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 blah, and it's true because people were falling off. And then yesterday happens, and Activision seemingly has no interest in the IP, which I find interesting because Destiny has turned a profit, and I've noticed over the past few years that Activision's more about MVP, minimal viable product.
Yep.
They don't care. Call of Duty, I think it was like Modern Warfare 3 and some of the others, cost $30 million to make, and they rake in $1 billion. The budgets for those games, or I should say Activision games in general, aren't that high in comparison to other games, but they make a ton of money. And Destiny is a polished game. The shooting mechanics are superb, probably better than most other FPSs this gen. And I think it's just Activision just wanting to put out more crap. Because look, I will never buy another product from Activision unless it's Spyro and Crash. But they clearly don't want to spend money. That's what I took from it, and I can see why Activision, or I should say Bungie, is celebrating, because they've left Activision. Everyone's probably heard all the stuff with Blizzard the past few days. It's the same thing.
Yes.
I think it's good that Bungie have escaped the claws of Activision, and personally, I think it's going to be good. We're probably going to get the game they originally wanted to make with Destiny 3. and I think it's good. And honestly, as a person that ditched Destiny, the first game, I'll be excited to get back into number 3 when they put out the next one.
Yeah, I'm excited. To be honest with you, when I heard this, I immediately wanted to start playing Destiny 2 again. It's the craziest thing. I mean, obviously, there's not going to be an overnight change. But Titan Drago, you and I were on the Saltiest podcast last night. A lot of stuff was spoken about when it came to Destiny 3, Bungie as a developer, as now an independent developer. But before we get into like really the back end, how shocked were you as a gamer and a Titan and someone who is part of a podcast who talks about gaming weekly? Were you really shocked that not only did they leave, because that's the leaving part, I think, was a little easier than a lot of people think, but that somehow or another keeping the franchise, that you don't see that very often.
Yeah, they pulled some tricks out of their sleeve for sure. They pulled a magician act. I look at it a little different than Zocker does, and I could be wrong, but I feel that it got to a certain point that Activision was hindering Bungie more than helping them at some point. But Bungie said, and I quote, "We know self-publishing won't be easy. There's much for us to learn as we grow as an independent global studio," right?
Yes.
So I got a question for the panel here about that. If you're Bungie and you just somehow pulled, a miracle escape from Shawshank Redemption where you're getting raped and Activision is forcing you to do things you don't want to do.
Nice analogy.
I love it.
Yeah. So,
All right.
If you don't think that's how it was, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it. But in my opinion, you're wrong. And that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. But if you're Bungie, how do you not look at Microsoft and look at their whole Game Pass situation where they're giving, people under their umbrella, all the necessary freedom and financial security with no pressure to sell X amount of copies?
Right.
There's zero pressure. How do you turn your back on them and say you're just going to go your own way and stay independent? Or do you use them? Do you use Microsoft as a safety net in case you fail?
Well, you know what? That's a fantastic question, and you know what? We're all going to answer it right now because I think it's really what you're saying has a tremendous amount of oomph to it, if you will. And I'll go first if you don't mind. Here's the thing, of course, the internet exploded yesterday, and for good reason. There's no doubt about it. And of course, both parties, right? Completely removing Nintendo out of the equation because their console couldn't even run it anyway, and they're not into the spending. We know Microsoft right away. Many fans were like, "Oh, Microsoft should buy them." Well, there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, Microsoft can't afford to buy them, but they just got out of a bad relationship, and there's not going to be any rebound. You got to remember, you got to look at the big picture here. In 2010. They loves back to leave Microsoft, and they shook hands and walked away. Great, and that's the way. And Microsoft, did the right thing by them. Right? They wanted to they had Destiny in mind, but Microsoft wanted Halo, and it just what happened is what happened. 2010, they signed a $500 million 10-year contract with Activision. Now, Activision are one of the biggest scumbags going. They were not as bad back then, so no one really was, shrugged a shoulder. They're like, wow, 10 years, holy cow, what are they going to do? And then Destiny 1 comes out, and you know what? I put between 13 and 1,500 hours into that game. Absolutely loved it. And now you fast forward to 2019, this big thing happens, and everyone's like, Microsoft, buy them out. Well, there's a couple of things that you got to think about here. First of all, Microsoft, again, I'll say it, they're in a position to freaking buy anyone they want. The checkbook is open. They're making money hand over fist with their services, and they need someone like Bungie. But see, I don't think that's what's going to happen. You see, I have a real good idea of how this is going to go down. Self-publishing could ruin a company. We've seen it. We've all seen it. We've heard it. All the companies that jumped on to Microsoft's first-party flagship, like like Ninja Theory, right? How long were they independent? They were drowning.
Yeah.
In Exile was drowning. The head dude was getting ready to retire. Microsoft, Phil Spencer visits them, lays down the plan. This guy comes out in a video and says, "Hey, listen, I was going to retire, but what they're pitching, I'm not retiring anymore."
Yeah.
Which you know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
I think that what's going to wind up happening is a few things. I think that they are going to do a Marvel team up kind of a thing. That's for you, Zolker. And they're going to work with Microsoft. I think publishing rights, marketing rights of Destiny 3 go immediately to Microsoft. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And who's to say that this game that they're being funded by this Chinese company, Microsoft doesn't step in and say, "Hey, listen, I tell you what, we like what you're doing. Go crazy, make whatever you want, no restrictions. But we want it as an exclusive, and we're going to pay for it. And it's Bungie, and it's going to sell." I have to go to slow-mo on this, to answer not only the incredible question that Titan had to talk about, but what I'm saying. What is your opinion on who do they team up with next?
Well, it would be great if for Xbox and if they could get Bungie back, and back into the fold, but I just don't see it happening. And I agree with you, Boom, on that. I don't think they're partnered back with Microsoft. I know there are some hard feelings between, not between, I don't think on the Microsoft side, but certainly on the Bungie side from the people who are still there, who were with Bungie back then. But at this point, when you're over 700 developers in your studio, you have a big IP. We have a blueprint already on how to do this, and it's no guarantee that it's definitely going to work. But you look at Warframe and what Digital Extremes did with Warframe.
Yep.
It's a similar kind of game. Doesn't play the same, but it does have like the same blueprints of how the game runs. And they hooked up with Tencent, another Chinese company, who is a silent publisher for their game. So they self-publish their game. Tencent has a percentage in the game, and they fund it for them, help them get the game off the ground. And Digital Extremes makes all the decisions. That's the perfect scenario for a company like Bungie. There are a lot of these developers would love to stay independent.
Yeah.
Yes, Microsoft has told Ninja Theory and Obsidian, all their new developers, "Hey, look, we'll give you full creative control." And that's great, but you're still owned by Microsoft. And
yes.
if you can avoid having to do that, then you're going to avoid doing that. So it's not saying it's impossible, but it's not happening right now. Bungie's not going to do that. And I would fully expect Phil and company to shoot their shot. Go for it. Make them an offer, because you're trying to develop your first party studio. Should I build that back up? They're a big time developer with a big time IP. Go for it. But I don't expect Bungie to say yes to that.
Yeah,
they want to be independent, and they're going to want to do that on their own. And it's not going to be easy, because self-publishing means now that all the PR, it's a lot of work that they never had to do before. All the PR or the marketing, funding their own, making sure that they have the funds coming in, the income coming in to keep the lights on. That's a lot of stuff that other independent developers we're damn sick of, and we're glad to go to Microsoft for. And that's something that Bungie has never done before, and they're going to at least try to do that first, so they can end up like a CD Projekt Red or Digital Extremes before they decide to go back to Microsoft. So we gotta pump the brakes a little bit. Them going to Microsoft's a little
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is,
So,
to
I
me,
mean,
it's like it's not even Microsoft's deal. For me, it's more of a Bungie decision. Like, I don't understand how you don't just say, "All right, Microsoft, man, we don't even care what you're going to pay us. You know, you do. You know, you give us this deal because it's really too good to pass up. Like, what's so good about being independent that you're going to pass up a sure thing in Microsoft? You know, that's my whole thing. With it.
Sure, Activision's a sure thing, right? They get money. That's the sure thing. It's all about the money. And to me, I think.
Well,
I think people-
Activision
I
is
don't
making.
think-
Well, that's well. They were.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think Bungie had a relationship with Microsoft before. I don't think it's fractured as much as it was before. I think they're.
Well, it's a
fine. I think
different
they're on a good team.
Microsoft from
Yeah,
2010.
It is,
let's not forget that.
but Bungie has over 750 people developing for them, right? They have 750
Yes.
developers in there.
Yep.
That's a big investment for Microsoft to even buy or invest in them. And then, not to mention, I feel that let's just be honest, real quick, right? Anthem, Division 2. We've talked about these games. They're direct competition with Destiny.
Yes.
And if one of them is even decently good, it's already better than Destiny than what it is now. Like, I'm sorry, that's just a fact. And not to mention,
you played it, so you what you're saying isn't someone else's opinion, dude. You've played it.
Yeah, and then if people think that Microsoft needs Bungie, they really don't. I don't see that happening because, one, when Bungie left, Microsoft had to build their own studio from the ground up in 343, and they did. And 343 has 500 plus developers on their staff. That is their new Bungie.
Yes.
And they're making, I'm sure a lot of people might not like certain games of them, but a lot of people who love Halo 1 and Halo 2 did see some flaws because it took Bungie a little bit to get to where they are. And that's just what it is now. That's what 343 is doing, is they're building who they are. And especially with all the hirings and everything that's going on within Microsoft, I just don't see the point. And people look at Minecraft, oh, they bought them for that much. Yeah, but Minecraft doesn't have a lot of developers on staff. It's a very small development team. I think it's like 100 or less. And that game is just, the way it was programmed and
printing money.
Yeah, it's just printing money. Exactly. So I don't think I know everybody's like, oh, they'll just go up to Microsoft. Yeah, but why does Microsoft need to go up to them? Why do they need to hear them out? Why not have them play it out and be like, yeah, go do what you got to do. We have marketing rights with Anthem and with Division 2.
Yep.
I think we're okay over here.
Yeah.
So
great point.
I just think that they need Bungie's going to run into a lot of things. One of them, they're going to be poached. A lot of developers are going to get better offers from, call it the Initiative, call it from Santa Monica, call it from someone else. They're going to get a lot of offers from, call it fucking Activision, to be honest. Activision might poach some people too. You don't know. And so how are you going to combat that with money? Bungie put themselves in a predicament that I'm happy they got out of the Activision game. I get it. But at the same time, you need to be ready for what's going to happen. And I said that in my video. And they've said that themselves. They said, in order for us to even launch Destiny, we needed a publisher that had the reach. And Activision was one of the few publishers that had the reach. And so that's what I'm looking at. Would it be a great partnership with Microsoft because of their servers, their services, and everything they do? Yeah, of course it would. But putting a big game like that in Game Pass would change the game. But at the same time, it has to be beneficial to Microsoft to invest that much money within Bungie.
Right, I agree. Yes, I agree. There's a couple of things. First of all, I have to say a real big thank you to Siberia for the incredible $5 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. He says, great show, and I hope everyone has a great gaming weekend. I also have to give a big shout out to a very good friend of the channel, who's someone I worked with last night, Punkadish Gaming, with the incredible $5 super chat. And he says, just some love and support to my man Boom. And yes, I really do greatly appreciate it. But you know what, Jamie, I want to get your take on this because there's a few things to look at. First of all, 2010 Microsoft is a complete shell of itself compared to 2019 Microsoft with Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella's ideology when it comes to the new Microsoft. I think that we started to see, with all of these developers signing on with Microsoft, that there was something new, something fresh, something tasty, if you will, that all of these developers got a hold of, and they're like, man, this is great. We can do what we want. We're sure Microsoft owns us, but we have complete creative control. I think that's a big deal. Again, Bungie is now like they're like a baby, right? They've been developing for years, but now they're doing it different. And Zalker said something really important. The Division 2 is poised to take the world by storm. And Anthem, it's not Destiny. We get it, but it looks damn good, and it's going to take a lot of the player base away from Destiny, which unfortunately at the moment isn't as strong as it used to be. So they do have an uphill battle. What are your takes on them possibly teaming up with Microsoft at one point or another? Do you think that's something we're going to see, Jamie?
Well, Microsoft is very different than what they used to be. Like when Bungie first left, Microsoft was still run by what is his name? The sweaty guy.
Sweaty guy.
Palmer?
Palmer, that's it.
Yeah.
Very different company now. The very poor consumer. They want the best for developers and stuff. And last night I was posting the Thanos memes and stuff about Phil Spencer coming in with the check, which I find hilarious. But as much as I was joking about it, I can't see Microsoft funding anything or doing anything like that. I can see Destiny being marketed with Xbox, because like PlayStation, they aren't going to jump in for any first party or anything, because they want more single player stuff. And Microsoft, they want service based stuff, and Destiny is a mix of the two. And I think that Microsoft, they've got the marketing deal for Anthem, Division 2, and I could see them getting the marketing deal for Destiny 3, because you could play all these shared world games on your Xbox and whatever. But honestly, you have to look at all the other publishers, because I can't see Ubisoft jumping in to fund anything because of Division. I can't see EA jumping in because of Anthem. And I can't see Square Enix jumping in because they don't really seem interested in many online-based games. But there is the wild card where I haven't seen anyone mention, and that's THQ Nordic. They are funding 50 games right now, and with I don't think THQ Nordic will actually jump in and buy Bungie, but I think they'll get the publishing rights, and that would be a big deal, because that'll be essentially their biggest game, right there. But whatever happens, I think there will be something with Microsoft, and I think people over at Bungie would probably want that too, because clearly they see how happy these developers from In Exile and Obsidian are now, so maybe they want something, and maybe it's not even Destiny related. Maybe there's something else in the future.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, listen, I don't know what the plans are. They have to finish whatever they're going to have left for Destiny 2. And now they have to finish that out without a publisher. And they're going to somehow... I mean, listen, Destiny 3 has been in the works for a while. I mean, if you think otherwise, then you're just not following the news. They haven't publicly said Destiny 3 is, September 18th, 2021. We don't have a date. But at the same time, we know that they're working on it, and I'm very interested to see where they're going to go. I think at one point or another, and Titan Drago, I want to go to you next on this. I think they're going to have to team up with someone. I just don't see them doing this alone. Titan, what are your takes on that, dude?
All right, well, I have one of two takes, and one I don't know about. There's a lot I don't know about this. They mentioned teaming up with this Chinese company. Do you remember who they were? I don't know a lot about them. I don't know what part of the puzzle they're gonna play. I don't know what role they're playing in all this. So there's
they could be a silent developer.
Yeah,
you mean NetEase? If you mention NetEase, they gave Bungie $150 million to work on a new IP that's not Destiny at all. So that is specific to that new IP.
Correct.
And there's nothing that we've seen so far that says that NetEase would also potentially fund Bungie for development on Destiny, but I mean, it's a possibility. They already have a working relationship going on, so there is a chance of that, but we just don't know. We don't have that information quite yet.
All right, so there's that, and then I don't know. it sure, I mean, they've said it themselves, like no matter how hard it is for us to comprehend right now, but it sure looks like they're really going to try this on their own. And that's my opinion. And like they've stated they want to be independent. So, I mean, I guess they made enough money under the umbrella of Activision that they can go out and do this on their own.
Well, look, here's the thing. This is going to be a topic I think we're all going to be returning to for at least the next few weeks. We are already 41 minutes into this show, and it's been Destiny, and for good reason. Like I said, this is something that could not have just been poo-pooed, if you will. There's still a lot of talking points. I want to see more information from Bungie themselves.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be more info released.
I want to see.
I have one more thing to say. Sorry.
Sure. No, go ahead, dude.
The only thing I could see changing, and this might not even happen, is it going to Steam on PC, because right now it's only on the Battle.net Activision launcher. If it goes to Steam, I could see Steam making a push, because they've been losing some shit lately too.
Yeah, no, that's that's another 40-minute topic. Real quick, I have to say two things. One, the Ash and Luca showing up in today's chat is amazing, because she's awesome. And she also dropped a $2 super chat. So thank you, Luca, for that. And she says, and doesn't surprise me, screw Destiny, #trash. So she
that plays it more than anyone.
Yeah, exactly. The only game that she plays right now is Destiny. She was acting like a crackhead on it last night in the Xbox Live party. So
okay, I'm not going to say that you're saying that she's a fraud. I won't say that, but no, the assumption is out in the open. But you know what? I kind of want to move on to the next topic, and because we talked about Destiny, I think it's almost necessary to talk about BioWare's next big one, known as Anthem. Now, we've been talking a little bit about it in the Destiny conversation. Listen, I'm super stoked for Anthem. I think that it has everything, and I'm an 80s kid, right? Like in 1980, I was 10. Yeah, I get it. I'm the old guy, but I got to experience Robotech and Transformers, the Generation 1, and I was always fascinated. My brother is also in the chat, Neo Mental. We were always fascinated with robots, and these mini mechs that you can fly around in is something I've dreamed of since I was a kid, since I was playing with toys. And it's BioWare, right? And I'm gonna say this: if you've been paying attention to social media the last 2 weeks, they are live streaming every single day, right? They're showing off missions. I mean, they just put out on YouTube 3 days ago an entire mission from start to finish. This story I pulled from rockpapershotgun.com. And, what they're saying is that all flying, all shooting mech RPG Anthem isn't far off now. And BioWare, via IGN, has shown off some early missions called The Lost Arcanist in full from start to finish. Now, as the name suggests, it's about finding... Say, there goes the fire engines. My God, they always every live show. I think they do this on purpose because I'm a retired cop. Something with the fireworkers. I don't get it. Anyway, let me continue. As the name suggests, it's about finding someone who's gone missing, and you can watch the crew ping from waypoint to waypoint, shoot some enemies, and see a lot of incredible, beautiful graphics. I mean, listen, it looks gorgeous. Now, I'm going to say this. I encourage everyone that even remotely has an interest in this game to go watch the footage. It's up there for everyone to see. They're not hiding behind their laurels. They're putting this out there for everyone to see. And a lot of people played it in the alpha. The beta's coming out at the end of the month. I think that they have something special. Listen, Slow-Mo, I want to go to you first on this. This game looks to be one of those titles that had a lot of hype, and I think it's going to deliver. What are your takes on that, dude?
I'm hoping so. I really do hope it delivers. I was in the closed alpha. I think I can say that now.
Yes, so was I. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the content. It convinced me to pre-order it which is something that I normally don't do. I normally don't do pre-orders, but I did do it for this one, and I'm really excited for it. I really, BioWare is actually my favorite developer. So, I mean, this isn't their normal cup of tea, but I am confident in the BioWare Edmonton team that did the Mass Effect trilogy, that did Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire. Those are the guys. They're the very best at BioWare. And if anyone can deliver like this and actually come up with a game that's a looter shooter and has a really good story, then hey, they're the team to do it. So I'm all in. I'm really confident. I just tweeted last night. They came out with for all you Mass Effect fans,
I saw it,
the N7 armor.
Oh my God! Yes.
Look. If that's like a $5 microtransaction, hey, blame.
Charge me 10. I'm sorry. I'll be the problem. I don't care.
It looked amazing. So I'm all in. My one concern is that once everyone starts playing the game, and you get deep into it, and the main game is over, what is the in-game content look like?
Yes, very good point.
What is the content schedule going to look like? And will people still be playing the game after that? And that's the one thing that's really going to really be the challenge for BioWare and EA if they can keep that community going, because 3 weeks later is the Division 2, and you know me, I'm playing. I don't care what Anthem's doing. When Division 2 comes out, I'm moving on to that. Now, what would like to keep playing them back and forth, but it's all about making sure that there's something for me to come back to, and that's something that initially Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 had an issue with. When people finish the main game, they're like, what am I doing here? Okay, I'm moving on. The Division had that issue. When people finish the main game, and they're like, well, we're supposed to be getting incursions, but where are the incursions at? It took like another month to show up, and they were buggy. People moved on. So you need to make sure that going in, you hit the ground running, and you're dropping content as people are finishing the main game, and always giving them something to do. That's what kind of makes these kind of ongoing games work. And it works in Overwatch. It works in a lot of different games. But that's something that BioWare, and like I said, it's new for them to kind of do this. They need to be able to deliver on that, and hopefully they do it.
Yeah, I'm stoked. And Zolga, before I get to you, because I know you have a lot to say about this, I have to thank Scrub Nurse for the incredible $5 super chat. And they say, more excited for new game in Anthem or seeing how well the Division 2 will do. Destiny on the back burner for me until I see something new and interesting. Very true. And Creep Freak, I have to say thank you, but I'm laughing because he says, first of all, he dropped the $5 super chat. Thank you for that. That is extremely kind and greatly appreciated. And he says this, Boom's quote of the week, and he's talking about something I said last night on the Saltiest podcast, and I quote, sorry, Sony, you're poor. and when you say it like that, it's really taken out of context. What I meant was that not that Sony is poor. If Bungie had a choice between the two, they would go with Microsoft and not Sony because Sony is poor. So anyway, Zolker, I want to get to you, dude. Listen. You and I, you've been on the show numerous times. Like I said, I love your work. I think that you're really, really awesome when you talk about stuff that you're excited about. You're like me. The passion just comes flying out. And I know you're excited about this game. I mean, you've been watching. What are your takes on what they're showing?
I'm extremely excited. It's actually one of my most hyped games. Coming. I mean, maybe because it's close, but I can't wait to jump in and play Anthem. I love the gameplay. I love everything I've seen for the game. My only concern is that there's no PvP. So for now that there is, they said for now, but they said they have maybe some plans later, but I'm not banking on it to come soon. As Slow-Mo said, it's all about the end game. That's all it is for me. Because when I get past the main game, I'm looking at the end game, and that's what I want to play. And I'm going to see what they can do. And especially if they don't have PvP, they need to hit it out of the park. They need to have content there, kind of like what, again, I bring it up because they did it the best, World of Warcraft at the end. When you got 60, you had 10-man raids to do, you had 5-man raids to do, and then they dropped a 40-man Molten Core on you, and then they dropped Nefarious. They dropped so much stuff that you were constantly doing new things every day. And
Yeah.
that's what you need to do in Anthem, especially if you don't have PvP. And if people remember, World of Warcraft didn't have PvP. They knew they needed to kick it out, like just kill it with the PvE content. Now, the competition that they have is Division 2 3 weeks later. And Division 2 has been the most exciting for me because of what the developer has said. The developer said, we knew the problem with Division 1. We didn't have endgame. And when the endgame came out, it was just bullet sponges. And it was extremely hard. And people, the only way they can freaking beat the game or the incursions was by cheesing it and cheating.
Yep.
And they said, we've built this game from the end game out. That's what he said about Division 2. Yeah. That's what gets me extremely excited about Division 2 is that they built it from the end game out. And not to mention it has PvP. I love killing people. I love taking people. I like getting people all pissed off. That's what I do. But I'm just saying, Anthem looks amazing because it's different. The gameplay, the flying, all the different javelins you can have. I love the classes. Everything about it makes me want to play, jump in. And not to mention a little side thing, when the Xbox One X was announced, EA, and when they announced Anthem during that time, they said they worked directly with Xbox to make like basically the X fit what Anthem needed.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys remember that. So I'm extremely excited to see what Anthem's going to look like on the X, but I just want to see what they're going to do with the end game and how much content they're going to actually have, because the game does look amazing, but if you're not going to have PvP, you better have some shit that knocks it out of the park for me. Division 2 is right around the corner, and that's going to be huge. So I want to see what both of them are going to do. I'm going to play both of them, but again, who's going to keep my attention the longest?
Yes, and you know what? You brought up a good point, because you see, I have a feeling that the same way Red Dead Redemption 2 sold Xbox One X's to people who were on the fence for years with the Xbox platform, I think Anthem has the potential to do exactly the same thing based on what you just said. They made this game around the X. Sure, I think what they did is they reached for the sky, did what they had to do for the X, scaled it down, and I think we're going to get a masterpiece on the X. And if you don't have an X, this might be the game that pushes you to get it. Jamie, I want to go to you next on this, dude. Listen, like I said in the opening to this particular topic, they have not been shy about showing off this game. They're showing lots and lots of content on a daily basis. I know that there's been talk about, well, how they're going to make money because everything is free. We talked about it. Slow-Mo said he'll spend $5. I'm looking for a Titanfall kind of a skin. Let me, take one of the Titanfall skins and throw it on my Javelin, because I'm going to play as the tank. That's the end of the story. I like the beefy guy because I'm a big dude, so I appreciate it. What are your takeaways on not only the microtransactions being cosmetic, but have you seen any of the footage and has it impressed you?
Okay, so first up, I just want to say that, my YouTube channel is named after a Mass Effect character. I love BioWare, like more than any other studio. And, I broke a lot of like Andromeda information before any official drops. And so I've kept close with everything BioWare, and I know some stuff that most people shouldn't. But when it came to Anthem, people were like, slating on it because it's BioWare after Mass Effect Andromeda. This is the A team. This is the Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3 team. They know what they're doing. And I've played it. And I played it during one of the days where it was meant to end at 6 p.m. and no one was kicked off till around midnight. So I've played it a lot. I can't talk about it, but I can tell you about what I've seen. Winkety wink wink. The game looks like it plays amazing. The game looks amazing. And I hear all this talk of endgame and stuff. The whole endgame thing, it's cool. It's what people want from this kind of online type of game. It makes sense. But for me, like every other BioWare RPG, it's about the game as a whole. It's about the entire journey. And I think they have a hit on their hands. Like, I don't. Like this game could be the redemption story that BioWare needs, because they need it. And when it comes to the microtransactions thing, like, look, I've been playing microtransactions in games since 2012, and that was Mass Effect 3, and I never bought a single one. And since then, I've never bought a single microtransaction. And with this, what they've said is basically when you customize your Javelin, there's different layers where you can edit the colors, the textures, the fabrics, and all that stuff, and you'll be able to get that stuff via loot chests you'll find in the real world, or you'll be able to buy stuff. But that stuff doesn't affect how powerful your weapons and armor are. And that, personally, I'm fine with. I'll just get the N7 armor and I'm done.
Yes.
But I'm perfectly fine with them doing this, because look at what happened with the new Last of Us game. It came out that there's going to be cosmetic DLC,
Right.
And everyone was universally fine with it. So I think, why can't people be fine with this?
Yeah, it's just because it's EA. That's the problem. I people get nervous, and I get it. I completely understand it. But you also have to. There's a couple of points, Jamie, that I'll throw it back to you in a second. Again, it is EA. They have made mistakes as close as Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I think that there was so much money invested into this, and I think that you said the word redemption. I think it's a big deal. I think BioWare themselves want to get out from the umbrella of Mass Effect Andromeda. They want to get that stink off of them, and they want to be known as the team that brought Anthem, which is supposed to be effing amazing. I hope it is. Anything else you want to add to the topic, dude?
Yeah, like the only main thing I'm concerned about is that BioWare have been known to put out absolutely fantastic DLC, such as like expansions. So the Mass Effect games, BioWare, all had amazing expansions, and some of the best DLC to ever exist comes from Mass Effect 2. And I'm worried that with it being free now, we won't get that quality of expansion when it comes to Anthem, because like if you look at Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, those expansions are amazing. Some of them
they're fantastic.
Some of them take like 6 hours to finish, and sometimes they feel like their own little games. But I feel with Anthem, and look, I know people like to jump on the EA hate train because it makes sense. They love their microtransactions, but I feel like this will be perfectly fine having cosmetics, but it's just the story DLC I'm a bit concerned about, because I want that top tier Mass Effect 2 style DLC.
Well, I have to, Jamie, I have to actually disagree with you about the end game. I think the end game is the most important part of a game like this. BioWare, this isn't their first try at an MMO. They made that Star Wars MMO years ago, and I played the hell out of it.
And it was good.
It was the best leveling experience I've ever had in an MMO, but then it died because it had nothing to do at the end. That's why it finished. Like that's what they need to do. If you have a great story and then you have a great end game story or a great end game content for people to continuously do, it's going to be amazing. But hopefully they learn from that Star Wars game, because that game, once you got to max level and you were done leveling, there was literally like nothing to do, and that's what killed it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with like people wanting a good end game. I want a good end game. It's just that when it comes to the game as a whole, I'm concerned about the game. Like the end game could be amazing. It's just the rest of the game I'm wanting to know it's good. Like I want to have variety in quests and storytelling. Like the end game I'm concerned about also, but when it comes to these types of games, I haven't really been able to get in them before. So when it comes to end game, for me, it's never been an issue, because a game like this has never kept me long enough to be concerned about it.
I think the variety is going to come from what javelin you use, because I don't think you're going to be tied to one javelin. I think you can use any javelin.
You can use any.
Yes.
So I think that's where variety comes, right? Like just like Diablo, the variety is the classes you pick and level up. Just like WoW, variety is the classes. Everything is class, and that's why people have a hard time with Destiny, because at the end of the day, you're still shooting the same people with guns. And Titans do have differences, and so does Warlocks and all that, but that's what's going to be the big thing with Anthem. And that's what Division, I think, has to combat too, is that they don't have variety in classes like Anthem's going to have.
Right.
Well, I think we could all agree this game looks 100% better than Destiny does anyway, so that'll be better in and of itself. But this whole first quarter, I'm like out of the box from most other people's opinion, and it kind of sucks, because really this first quarter, I'm solely hyped for Crackdown 3, which I'm getting on Game Pass.
Yeah.
The Division 2 has a lot to prove for me. They screwed me once, so shame on them. I'm not buying it until you make it up. And that damn Anthem gameplay video makes me so nervous, because it reminds me so much of the Division 1 and how they ran their initial gameplay video. So it's just bringing back bad memories for me. And so I'm not falling for the Anthem hype just yet. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm on record saying that. I'm concerned about its staying power. I have no doubt it'll be a great game, but you know what? Let's just call me greedy here, because I don't buy games for $60 to be one and done. If I did, I'd have a PlayStation right now. But you know, I require staying power, and I'll support the hell out of it if it's got staying power, like Smite has had for me. Like, I've probably spent close to $500 over 4 years on Smite. So I'm just gonna hang back and just wait, and you guys are gonna have to tell me everything.
Well, then, do you have EA access by any chance?
No, hell. No.
You know, it's $30 a year, and it really is worth its weight in gold. That would give you your 10-hour trial, and if the 10 hours, if you didn't like it, then you know it's not for you. And I think that, I mean, listen, dude, it's $30. I mean, it's $30 for the year, or I think it's $5 per month.
Well, no, because see, that's how they'll get you. A 10-hour trial, that's not going to tell me if it's got staying power or not. That's exactly what they want. I'm not falling for that.
Listen, I know that you're always trying to bring the sense back into sensibility. You're also trying to bring the conspiracy into conspiracy, and I hear what you're saying. I want to say, dude, everyone's point was great. I think that at the end of the day, we're all going to be completely shocked on whether you love it or you hate it. I think more people are going to love it. I want to move on to the next topic, but I have to say a big holy shit, thank you to Infamous Fabs for the incredible $20 super chat. And they say, boom, just showing some support. Keep up the good work. I greatly appreciate that very much. The generosity of this community is really humbling. And I don't do this for money. Getting donations for the channel so I can give away stuff more often than not is something my wife and I really enjoy doing. And that's all due to the incredible generosity. So thank you. But you know what? Speaking of money, January through March is going to be, in my opinion, an all-out assault on everyone's wallet. In a very short time frame, these are the titles that will be coming out in a 90-day span. I'm going to read the list, so get ready. New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. Ace Combat 7, PS4 gets the VR part of that as well. Onimusha Warlords, Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Anthem, Crackdown, Metro Exodus, Dead or Alive 6, Jump Force, Far Cry New Dawn, Trials Rising, Devil May Cry 5, The Division 2, Sekiro Shadow Dies Twice, Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove, Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes for the Switch. Listen, this amount of games in that short time frame is insane. Panel, here's my question to you. And Slow-Mo, I will start with you first. What games are you buying? What titles will you be leaving behind and possibly catching on sale at a later date?
Man, okay. Let me start with January. So I would actually mention this before we went live. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition came out today. I am still deciding whether I'm going to buy that now or
That's
get
a big
it
game,
later.
dude.
It is, but it's like it's one of those games where I'm like, you know what? I want to really get a deep dive into it. I had it on 360, and I want to play it again, but it's just, you know, I might do a wait until later on that one. And actually, this is something that I had already prepaid for, but the third episode of The Walking Dead final season comes out next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely playing that as soon as it drops. In February, I might get Far Cry New Dawn. I'm not really interested in Metro Exodus, but or like I said before, I already pre-ordered Anthem, so that's a day one play for me. And I'm gonna try Crackdown 3 through Game Pass. I'm not all that interested in it. Like, I like the first Crackdown, didn't care for the second one, and for what I've seen, I mean, it looks better visually, but the gameplay loop doesn't seem to be all that different from what Crackdown has always been. So it's more of something that I'll try through Game Pass because I have Game Pass, and it's just I'm already paying for it, so I might as well, you know, install it and see what it's got. But I'm not too interested with it. And of course, March, The Division 2. So once, like, really what I'm probably going to stop playing Destiny as much as I haven't really been playing it that much anyway. And I've been going through a lot of different games. Like I've been really trying to go through my backlog and play games, get it, done it, end it and then uninstall it. And I think now I'm probably just going to get back into that ongoing looter shooter feel that I like with Anthem and the Division. So I'm thinking probably by March, those would be just the 2 games that I'm playing exclusively for a little while.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're both going to be huge. So you're going to get your money's worth of those games for sure. Zolker, we talked a little bit prior to going live. This is an insane amount of games. The wallet is screaming bloody murder. That's why I did a tweet right before Christmas. I said, folks, listen, if you get game cards, if you get gift cards, put them in your sock drawer and forget that you have them. That's what I did because you know what? I pre-ordered almost not the entire list. There's at least 6 or 7 games I didn't get, but I tried to get all the big ones. Zolker, what are you going to get, and what are you going to leave behind for a later date?
I'm honestly leaving. I don't think I'm going to even get them. Is Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2.
Oh, stab me in the heart.
I know. Now, those games are just kind of like, they don't really interest me. To be honest, the big games that interest me is Far Cry New Dawn and Crackdown 3. I know it comes out the same day, so Far Cry is going to have to wait. Sorry. I love Crackdown. I feel like I need to play a Crackdown game pretty damn soon. I'm looking forward to the co-op, to playing with buddies and, the destructible environment. I want to jump in that game and just have a real good time, to be honest. You just do whatever you want in that game, and I really enjoy that, like the sandbox of it. And if you start the game, you can literally walk up to the last boss and try to kill them at like level 1. Like that's just kind of cool to me. I enjoy that. Then after that, it's obviously Anthem, which, let's just be honest, it's going to take over everyone's life. And then Division 2. Those are the 4 games that I'm really looking forward to. Metro Exodus is a game that I was like, wow, this is a real technical showpiece. The graphics are amazing. It looks great. To me, it fit perfectly with a Game Pass game. I was like, man, this would be like a perfect Game Pass game. Throw that in there, and let's just have some fun. But I'm going to have to wait for sale on those because I know I'm going to play Crackdown 3 first. So then by the time I'm done playing Crackdown 3, Anthem's going to come out. And by the time I'm not even done with that, Division 2. Yeah. So, I'm trying to be like a little smart with the budget because I don't want to like have so many games that my backlog is crazy. And leading up to those, I'm playing Far Cry 5. I'm going to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I have some PlayStation exclusives to play. So there's still a lot to play. And this spring is so damn packed that it's crazy.
My God. Yeah.
And the big thing that I really noticed is that Microsoft has the marketing rights for pretty much every damn game.
Yes,
that's what I've noticed.
Yes, they do. Metro Exodus, they have the Division, Anthem. It's Crackdown. Obviously, it's a first party. So yeah, pretty much.
I think they have. Don't they have the for Kingdom Hearts? Or I don't even know. That was on Sony and Microsoft stage.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Sony has a special edition bundle coming out, so I don't know who actually has the marketing rights.
Yeah, but for all the big new games, go ahead, Slow-Mo.
Yeah, I believe Microsoft has the marketing rights for Kingdom Hearts 3, but like Sony has the remastered stuff. So like the older games, they get that on PlayStation 4, whereas it's not on Xbox,
right?
Something like that. I'll look it up to double check, but I think that's at least close.
But that's the games that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be kind of crazy, and then to be honest, right when those games are done. We're looking at another roundabout of a bunch of games coming out, and it's a holy shit. Like this is a big spring 2019.
It is, man. Yeah,
2019 is a big fu to your wallet, but a great little song to your senses because we're gonna love every minute of it.
Yeah, I got news for you. I'm gonna go on a limb and say this. I think that this block it was bigger than the 2018's fall block. To be honest.
Oh, I don't know about all that, man. 2018's fall block, like look back on it, man. Spider-Man, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Forza Horizon, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Call of Duty, Battlefield 5, Red Dead Redemption. Like,
Yeah,
those are fucking bangers.
Yeah, there was. It would be comparable. I think it would be just hairs of what who did better. Real quick, Cedric H with the incredible $5 super chat. He says he's getting Resident Evil 2, Metro Exodus, Devil May Cry 5, Crackdown, and Far Cry New Dawn. That sounds like a great list. I'm getting every one of those as well. And of course, Jamie, I want to go to you on this, dude. Listen, this is probably the most we've seen in this block from January to March in a very, very long time. When I see big games like this, I always think to 2007 when we had all those massive, A bombs being dropped. What games are you going to get, and what games are you going to kind of hold off on?
Well, it's funny. Like we all spend all our money in the holidays when it comes to a billion games dropping, and this year starts up again, and it's just happening all over again.
Mm-hmm.
I did plan on getting Tales of Vesperia because I missed it last gen. But one of my New Year's resolutions was to not buy games I didn't plan on playing straight away. So I think I'm just going to hold off from that and maybe save it to the summer. Ace Combat 7, I want to get. Far Cry New Dawn. Anthem, obviously. Crackdown 3. Resident Evil 2, the remake of one of my most favorite games.
Yep.
Honestly, I can't remember what else is out.
Well, the list. I mean, you had Onimusha is a budget title. Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, Sekiro and
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Kingdom
Devil
Hearts
May
3.
Cry 5 is another big one.
Devil May
Jump
Cry
Force
5
is another big one for some people who like that. The anime fighting.
So that's pretty much everything I want. So about 5 or 6.
Nice. Well, listen, I mean, it can be done. You just have to, obviously, you can't buy everything. We'd love to all, but Titan Drago, round off this craziness known as 90 days of assaults on your wallet. What games are you going to get? What games are you going to come back to when they're on sale?
Yeah, that's a good question. For right now, I've got my defenses up. They're not going to slaughter my wallet. So, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. That one might end up getting me. I usually don't like to do that, but that one might end up getting me because I do like, the ninjas and stuff. I love that. I loved back in the day that PlayStation game. What was that ninja game called?
Tenchu.
Yes, Tenchu. I loved Tenchu, and I know this isn't going to be like that, but it's kind of like the nostalgia factor for me almost. But I thought Far Cry 5 had an awesome ending with a lot of cliffhang, and I thought this game would pick up where that left off, but I heard it's not. So what the hell is this new Far Cry trying to sell us here? Like, I'm lost, and why are they releasing it in this absolute mix of bangers in the spring?
Well, the father is still alive. If you've watched the end of the trailer, you hear him talking. So he's still alive. So he's going to come and play a role. I think it is a direct continuation.
See, I've had multiple people tell me that it wasn't. Maybe they were just wrong, but I that's why I want it to be that. If it does end up to be that, then I will get it because I loved the ending of Far Cry 5. I thought it was fantastic. But so many questions, about these games during the spring, and when I'm unsure about something, I tend to stay away and let the dust settle. So definitely gonna have to see the dust settle this spring.
All right, well that's fair. I mean, listen, money doesn't grow on trees. Obviously, life always gets in the way, I mean that's it. But you know what? Everyone had a great ideas on how they're going to handle this. It's with so many games in one block, it's almost like that you just can't stop spending. So we're going to have to kind of hold, someone's going to have to hold our wallets for us, I think. But I want to move on to the next topic because when you talk about money, you have to talk about Sony's PlayStation exclusive known as Spider-Man by Insomniac Games, one of my personal favorite games in 2018. I threw this in there because Zolker is a big comic book nerd just like me. So, of course, I had to throw this in. And as of 11/25/2018, Insomniac Games community director James Steverson confirmed that they sold 9 million copies, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm very happy for Insomniac Games. Again, Spider-Man was one of 2018's best titles. Even if you're not a superhero fan, it just played so well. It looked absolutely gorgeous. But that's not really the story for this particular topic. 9 million, great. You know what that translates to in regards to monies? I did the math. It's over $500 million. So $500 million was made on the backs of the Insomniac developers. But you see, again, not the point of this story. Now, the one thing I will say, not trying to flame the fucking wars of plastic that just ruin this community, because both sides have toxic people. And I'm sorry I cursed. I normally don't, but I just hate seeing the hate that comes out of some people's mouths through Twitter and through some YouTube videos when it comes to the plastic wars, right? But the one thing I will say about the PlayStation community is that they're the loudest when it comes to their exclusives. And you know what? I applaud them for doing that. I think that if you care for a game, if you care for a console, you should be out there doing the whole rah-rah thing. But they also dropped a number the other day, Sony did, where they announced 91.6 million consoles sold. Now, I understand that a good portion, and I said this before publicly on my show, that I think that 70%, and I really do mean that number, 70+% of PlayStation 4 owners are the casual market. That I think that's a proven fact. The diehard is the minority. That goes for Xbox, that goes for Nintendo, that goes for Sony. We are the minority when it comes to console sales. But here's my question, and I'm going to start out with slow-mo on this one. Even though 9 million made that much money, even though 9 million copies sold of Spider-Man is fantastic, and I'm so proud of everyone at Insomniac Games, why the hell has the Sony community not come out in droves to support this game? Now, listen, Spider-Man is well known. He's worldwide known. You look at Nintendo, right? Their attach rate is out. It's just ridiculous. It's in the 80s and 90s when it comes to Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild. It was almost 1-to-1 when the Switch launched. Why aren't more Sony fans getting out there and supporting this amazing game?
Well, I do agree with you that the vast majority of PlayStation are sold to the casual market. And when we say the casual market, we're talking about the guy that buys a PlayStation because he saw a Call of Duty commercial and it said PlayStation at the end of it. And he just assumed, hey, that means this must only be on PlayStation. Let me go out and get a PlayStation so I can play Call of Duty now. The Madden and FIFA players all over the world, they buy one system and they may buy 1 or 2 games a year.
Yep.
And maybe, if the marketing's good enough, they may eventually end up seeing some of these other bigger games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, God of War, and they may pick up something else. But for the most part, they have their system to play their Maddens, their Call of Duties, their Battlefields, and their FIFAs. And that's about it. That's why those games are always the games that sell, are always at the top of the charts every single year. And it's what they're there for. So I do believe the Sony community, the hardcore community, has purchased Spider-Man, and that's why it's at, as of November 25th, it was at 9 million. I think probably by now it's well over 10.
Sure,
and still climbing, because it's a great game. And I platinumed the game on PlayStation, platinum the main game, 100% of the DLC, which wasn't as good as the main game, but still I enjoyed it. And it's something that I'm really happy for Insomniac, because it's their most successful game ever. They've really legitimized themselves as a AAA studio, and I'm really can't wait for a sequel, because I'm pretty sure Sony's already getting everything together.
Well, I mean, the way the game
ended,
ended, no spoilers here, slow-mo.
Oh yeah.
Come on. I mean, that just screams, I won't say it out loud, but you know what it screams.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's and there's even I don't know if we want to talk about this quite yet, but the whole Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's the back end of this, because yes, we'll be coming back to that, because yes, that has to be discussed. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, I know that sometimes we talk about one and done with these PlayStation exclusives, but I mean, this is a game I put probably more hours into Spider-Man than I did State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves combined.
Nice.
So for me, like, I really wouldn't call it a one and done, especially if they're going to add additional DLC later on, because the first DLC was just 3 small DLCs, which really was really one big DLC. They split up in 3 different release schedules, but all that's done now. What else do you have in store? And if that's going to be something else later on this year, I'm not going to uninstall Spider-Man to save that game space. I'm actually going to hold on to it and look forward to what else comes out. So yeah, I feel the overall just I think the Sony community has supported the game. It's just like as you said before, the vast majority of that 91% is that 91%, that 91 million are people who are just casual gamers who don't really play anything else but sports games.
Yeah, you're right. They buy 2 or 3 games a year. It's Call of Duty, it's Battlefield, it's Madden, it's 2K, or it's FIFA. You're right, 100% right with that.
And if you think about the marketing they did for Spider-Man with the subway, like that stuff was unbelievable. Masterful marketing. That's how they were able to get the mindset out to the casual market. They're like, hey, look, this isn't just your typical Spider-Man game. This is probably the best Spider-Man game there is
ever.
Pick it up. Yeah, and so that's how they, you get to that point where now you're up in those 10 millions. You're competing with Madden and FIFA on sales on a monthly basis. That's where you get up there, because the marketing was there for the casual market to finally take a look at it.
Yeah, no, absolutely great points, dude. Zolker, I want to go to you now. I know that you said that you have in your backlog a few games for Sony that you want to get to. I'm going to be honest with you. I put over 50 hours into Spider-Man. I'm 3 trophies away from the platinum. I have not played the DLC because I wanted to play it in full. So I'll be getting to that when, I don't know, because all these games coming out. So now it's going to be a little harder. Have you played Spider-Man, and are you? I'm slightly disappointed. I don't want to use the words for you. Maybe what would you think about only 9 million out of 91, almost 92 million PS4s out in the wild? Only 9 million people bought the game. I think that it should be triple that.
I actually did beat it. It's the reason why it's one of the main reasons why I even own a PlayStation. I bought the special edition. I got the Pro Spider-Man edition with the red console and everything.
Nice, dude.
So that is one of the main reasons I beat the hell out of the game. It was the first game I played on PlayStation, and the first game I beat on PlayStation. I put probably 35 hours in it, beat it, loved it. The story was amazing. To be honest with you, I was sitting there multiple times going, how the fuck, did Insomniac make this game?
Exactly, yes.
Like, I literally sat there and this is the best game Insomniac has ever made, ever, and it's not even close. Like, not even like Sunset Overdrive doesn't even stand to it. Like, I'm sorry,
no, it doesn't. It does not.
So it just kind of blew me away. Yeah, I think that the Sony community did support it. It was the fastest selling exclusive in Sony's history.
Yes, that is true.
And so I feel like, the 91 million, like, the number's great. 91 million, congratulations. I can give to flying butt fucks, but that's just me. Like, I don't care about like sales and stuff like that. All I care about is that did it sell enough to get a sequel, and damn right it did.
It did.
That's what I care about. Like, just like I care about God of War selling because I just beat that. Kratos is my favorite franchise in PlayStation, or God of War is. So yeah, they sold enough to get another one. That's all that matters to me, is sell enough to just make another one. Now, as the one and done we were talking about, obviously I put way more hours into Forza, and I put way more hours into Sea of Thieves, but I still love and cherish that experience I had with Spider-Man. It was one of the best experiences I've had last year. I enjoyed the game thoroughly. I wanted to do everything. Yes, even collect the damn pigeons. I thought this is hilarious.
I did it all too.
Like, and going through fart clouds. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, they could have done a little something better.
Yeah, hopefully in the next game they'll have a little bit better side content than fart clouds and pigeon catching. Yeah,
but
go ahead, man.
it was cool. It was cool, and I enjoyed the game. But like, even the fart clouds and the pigeons didn't seem as bad because the number one thing that stood out to me in that game were the controls.
Yes. Oh man, you felt like Spider-Man.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people were like, you feel like Batman. It's just a Batman game when you fight. And to be honest, at the beginning, I kind of felt that. But as you got more into it, learn new moves, I really felt like Spider-Man. Like I was dodging, throwing, going crazy, jumping all over the place. It wasn't like Batman. It was Spider-Man, an untrained fighter that just has these superpowers. That's how I felt. And I was just doing crazy shit. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. The story, if you haven't played it, takes a turn later on. There's a lot of stuff that they went very big with, and it was epic, and it was just a lot of fun. I do hope they have better boss battles later in the sequel.
Yeah,
that's the one gripe I have is I need better boss battles, but that's okay. It's your first game, and you knocked it out of the park. As for the 91 million, everybody should be buying this game.
I agree, absolutely.
But they supported it. I'm not going to front. I mean, some of them might not have played it, to be honest, some of the loudest ones. But hey, what are you going to do, man?
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, I'm going to say this right now. Sony does not need the small BoomStick channel to do the marketing, which they've done masterfully. There's no doubt about it. But I say this. If by some chance you are a Sony owner and you love superheroes or even just like them, please go buy this game. You could probably pick it up for like 30 or 40 bucks. It is absolutely so worth your time. The ending, which I won't spoil, literally took my breath away. I did not see it coming. I thought it was balls of steel for Insomniac to do. And it's a masterpiece. Please don't miss this game. Go out and support Insomniac. Go buy Spider-Man. It is really incredible. Jamie, I want to get your point on this. I know that we talked about 91 million versus 9 million. I really wish that the Sony community, even though the hardcore and the middle of the fence fans, they did come out and support this. I want to see more people buy it. What are your takeaways on the numbers of the game being 92 million versus 9 or 10 million sold now?
I personally think that the number's good. I think that the whole 91 million consoles thing is, I think too many people, and even like the media and that say, there's 91 million people that own PlayStation 4s. That's just how many consoles are being sold. I have a friend that's bought 6.
I bought 4. I bought 4.
So personally, I think 9 million is a really good number. I mean, most people are casuals and they buy Call of Duty or GTA or FIFA, and that's it. So in the UK, that's in the top 5 of Amazon every week.
Wow.
I think it's done really well, and congrats to Insomniac. I mean, when I get a PlayStation, it's going to be my first game for it, and I'm looking forward to it because I loved Sunset Overdrive, and this looks like just a massive open world game, and I love open world games, and they've got my money. So yeah, personally, I think it's a good number.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm very happy. I think it might have been Zolker said it. The sales on this guarantee a sequel. I think that the ending completely screams we're working on a sequel right now. But you know what? Close it out, Titan. I don't know if you've played Spider-Man, but what are your takeaways with the numbers? Do you want to see this continue? Do you want to see that some Insomniac announce, maybe at the end of 2019 that, hey, Spider-Man sold 20 million? I would love to see that for that company.
That would be awesome. I'm with Zocker heavily. I've said this on podcasts many times before about other games. As long as it sells enough for them to have made money and make a sequel, that's what really counts. But you know what? For those that don't know, I'm an Xbox guy through and through. I do not like PlayStation, but I do want them to succeed. And it pisses me off when the toxic people talk numbers and consoles sold, and then you've only got 10% of people that are buying the game that relates to literally everyone.
Yes.
Like, this is not a mature game. It, like, 10% is kind of weak sauce. Yeah, it is enough, but it is kind of weak sauce when you got 90 million consoles out there, if you ask me. But so I guess it depends on how you look at it. But to me, Xbox is doing things so good for everyone, because with Xbox, we don't even need to worry about how many games, how many copies a game sold or the attach rates, because Game Pass is like it's like the Eden of video games.
It's
like,
the
who
second
had
coming for gaming, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's about all I have to say about it. Who doesn't have $10 a month?
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, listen, I'm going to say this. We're going to segue into something that Slow-Mo was talking about earlier this week. Before I get into that, let's just say this: the one running joke with Sony's titles is the one and done. You hear it all the time. God of War, which should have been my game of the year, and I say this all the time. I called it in 2017 that it was going to be my game of the year. I did not realize how in love I was going to fall for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So it just edged it out. But that's a one and done game. Now, I put 60 hours into it. I did every side quest. I'm a few trophies from the platinum. That game is a perfect example of something that needs a side story, some sort of DLC. And I talked about it yesterday. I actually talked about it on Wednesday on Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom, shameless plug, where Corey Barlog actually had DLC planned, and people in his company told him he was a lunatic. It was too big. So big that it could be sold as a $30 standalone like the Uncharted Lost Legacy. I hope that they do that. But something happened this week with Marvel. Something happened big with the first family known as the Fantastic Four. And this story I pulled from the incredible pages of Game Informer. And yes, I still read it. Yes, I don't listen to the podcast, but I still like what they have to say. Marvel is dedicating this week to the Fantastic Four, offering reveals oriented around, of course, again, the first family of Marvel. And at the end of this incredible 2-hour live stream, they announced that Spider-Man will be getting Fantastic Four DLC. And I have to say, I'm absolutely stoked. And in a quote from Marvel, this is exactly what they said. Something fantastic is coming to Marvel Spider-Man real soon. And this comes from Ryan Panagos, who said that the company was wrapping up the stream. No further details, such as a date or what it's going to cost or exactly when it's going to come out. But we do know it's more than a simple DLC that just adds costumes. Now, Slow-Mo, I want to go to you. Now, you obviously platinum Spider-Man. You said that. You jumped the gun. You talked about Fantastic Four. I know you want to tear right into this. What are your takes? What are your takes on the fact that this so-called one and done game is getting more than what they originally promised?
Well, I mean, I think just the sales numbers of 9 million in like 2 months speaks for itself. I think that says that if you're going to do additional content, you have a base of people who are definitely going to scoop that up and make that additional DLC well worth the investment. I'm glad it's more than just a couple of suits, because when I first heard about it, I was thinking, oh, he must be doing the bag over the head Fantastic Four Spider-Man suit that he had in the comics
with the paper bag.
with the paper bag, or the Fantastic Foundation with the white suit.
Yes,
when Spider-Man took over, when Human Torch did one of those Marvel deaths, where they die but they come back like a year or two later. Just it's all about getting sales with comics. But I thought they would just kind of add those two in, thinking like, well, I mean, that's not that big a deal. That's not nothing to come back to. But if it's going to be substantial DLC with the Fantastic Four, and finally someone actually gives them their due, because those movies, good grief, those movies are terrible. So
thank God Fox is no longer in control.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I'm really excited about it, and that's something that for me, I'm definitely waiting for, and that Spider-Man install will stay on my PlayStation, and I won't have it
Absolutely.
uninstalled and move on to something else. So it's I'm waiting for it. I can't wait.
Nice. Now, Zolker, of course, my brother in arms when it comes to comic book nerdisms. What are your takeaways? You said it. You loved Spider-Man. You loved what they did with it. And now we're getting Fantastic Four. And obviously, this is being thrown into the mix simply because as of next month, Fox will no longer be in control. The MCU is going to get very crowded very quickly with all of the X-Men and, of course, the Fantastic Four. I think that this is a great way to reintroduce this family that everyone knows and loves. What are your takeaways on Spider-Man getting Fantastic Four DLC?
I think it's a way of Marvel pushing Fantastic Four because let's be honest for a little bit here, people. Fantastic Four has not sold very well, comic-wise, movie-wise, anything-wise.
True.
It has been almost, to be honest, dead. One of Marvel's first families, one of the highest sellers they had in history, like back in the day. But lately, it's like the last 20 years, it's been really bad. So I think this is kind of a way to promote Fantastic Four a little bit into, you know, a very popular game and one of their AAA people in Spider-Man, so to speak. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if it's going to be a suit. I don't know if characters are going to show up. Did they explain any of that?
They said it's going to be more than just a suit.
Okay, well then good. I mean, we've seen Easter eggs of Doctor Strange's place, you know, Beaker Street. We've seen like the Avengers Tower. We've seen a lot of things teased in the game where we all swung by and we're like, wait, what the hell? You know, and went and looked at it. You know, good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four fan, and that's because I think they haven't used the property very well. The only one that I can think of is Jonathan Hickman's run that he had a couple years ago where he wrote, and it was probably the best run that we've had in the last 30 years. So people, if you want to actually know who the Fantastic Four are, check them out. Check his out, his little run he had on it a few years ago. But other than that, it's just, you know, I want to see what the MCU is going to do with them more. I don't really care for the DLC of it in Spider-Man because I'll be honest, it's not about the one and done. It's just I've heard bad things about the DLC for Spider-Man. I heard it's very half-assed from multiple people, not even just the community, from like friends of mine that are just like, yeah, it really disappointed me. And some of them said it actually hurt the game. Like they loved it, and the DLC actually hurt them because they're like, yeah, I put money down, and this DLC just kind of killed me.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case. I agree with you.
I do. I hope it's good. I hope it's a great DLC. I mean, are they charging for it?
You know what? I would imagine
they're likely going to charge for it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a $15 thing. I would imagine, but there hasn't been any talk of that, so we don't know.
I'm more interested to know when they're going to announce that Insomniac is working on the sequel. That's what I want to know because they haven't announced it.
That could be.
They haven't said anything, so I need to see that. And I don't get what they're waiting for. Like at this point, like it's sold so much. Like just fucking say something.
Yeah,
just say,
I agree.
It's coming. It's coming, and Insomniac's working on it. That's it.
I absolutely agree. Real quick, I want to get Jamie's take on this. Again, the running joke for Sony games, one and done. Insomniac proves that, in fact, they do have plans for this game past even the DLC that was announced. So this came as a shock to me. I'm very excited because I love the game. What are your takes on them kind of getting out of the stigma of the one and done with this shocking DLC announcement?
Well, I've always thought the whole term one and done thing was silly anyway. I mean, I play single player games most of the time anyway, but then I replay them over and over again over years.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
But like, I think it's cool, like this Fantastic Four DLC. The problem is, the Marvel need to get Fantastic Four out there in a good way because let's face it, they have not been relative for a long time.
Yes, and
I think it could be cool. Like, I'm guessing it's probably just going to be a few missions where you work alongside them, but that could still be good. But maybe that's a teaser for maybe another game. Like, what if hypothetically Insomniac make a Fantastic Four game if the DLC does well? That's just a off the top of my head theory.
No, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Really good point.
But like obviously, I can totally see Insomniac doing another Marvel game after this. Like whether it would be like a Sony exclusive or not, that doesn't really matter. But I could see like Marvel's wanting to get a bunch of games out there. and depending on how this DLC does, maybe we get a multi-platform Fantastic Four game or whatever. It could be anything, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even actually think of that. Titan Drago, close us out on this. This DLC announcement was exciting for me. It was exciting for Zolker. Again, we're comic book guys, but was it exciting for you?
All right. Well, I got a few different things to say on this. I'm going to start with the stigma one and done, because it's very simple to get out of that stigma. If you don't want to be hit with the sticker one and done, just add a multiplayer mode. It's very simple. If you add a multiplayer mode, no one can call it a one and done. It's and I know you two don't care for the term one and done. Neither does Dealer, and I've gone back and forth with him about this because I do use the term and I do think it applies, but so. You two don't care for the term because you guys can replay a game over and over. I mean, Boom said in the pregame that he beat Resident Evil 2 50 times, and I don't want to buy the remaster because I don't want to beat it twice. So you can see the absolute opposite ends of the spectrum of gaming that we come from, right? And to me, it's simple. You just add a multiplayer mode, and that solves it for everybody. But go ahead.
I do kind of want to counter that, Titan, for a second. So
okay.
let's look at it like this, okay? So you could add a multiplayer mode, but it doesn't guarantee that a game will be compelling. Now, I know, Zalker, loves Sea of Thieves. For me, it was a game that wasn't really down my alley. I tried Sea of Thieves for like 8 hours, and then I didn't go back to it. So in that case, for me personally, I could say Sea of Thieves is a one and done, although it has multiplayer. And then for another example, something that you had mentioned also with let's say like the Mass Effect series, I just recently went through the Mass Effect series again for like the 7th time. Just finished Mass Effect 3 last week. That's a game that is primarily a single player game. But when you really, really enjoy a game and it has like multiple branching storylines, different romance options, all this kind of other stuff that makes it so each experience with that game is unique, you can go back through it and play it again. I really just don't think one and done is a term that really accurately portrays any kind of game, whether it's single player, multiplayer, sports, whatever. It just doesn't really work to me. But I mean, tell me how you feel about that.
Well, multiple branching storylines definitely helps because there's a lot of work that's put into that when they're in development. But as far as Sea of Thieves, I was kind of with you. I played it for longer than you did at the beginning, but I played it at the beginning and I was done after the first week. But I will say this: if you haven't played it recently, you definitely need to download all the updates and play with Zalker, because I'm gonna tell you this much. When
Pirate Legend.
Zalker, he earned that Pirate Legend title, let me tell you, because we played with him and it was like we had 3 people, me, Salty, him, and I forgot who was our 4th that night, because our 4th has been, it might have been Ashtray. But anyways, we were usually the more passive aggressive crew, but when Zalker jumped in, boy, anyone we saw, we dominate. It was an absolute different culture of a game, man. And with all the updates they've added, it truly is a different game. And I think it's right now where it's at is where it needed to be when it released.
Well, and that's what Titan's saying.
I do agree with that.
When I played with Titan, like every encounter I have against a human, it's different. Nothing ever ends up the same. Like when I was with Titan, these people were running from us. They stopped at an outpost. They were trying to sell their stuff. I put myself in a cannon, shot myself, landed right on the deck in front of the guy. He just sat there like, oh, shit. And I just killed him and took his stuff.
Nice.
I just killed him, took his stuff. And I told them to just sink their ship and shoot them. The other guy came running at me, killed him too. And that was it. And they were just like, what the hell just happened? And then we made like over 5K gold. And then we went.
Nice.
Next time we saw the ship, I was like, hey, there's a ship. Let's go. Like, that's just what I do. Like, that's the fun. That's the not one and done about it. Like, I get what Titan's saying. I still enjoy, the quote unquote one and done games, but Slow-Mo, you're saying branching storylines. To be honest with you, the only games that really have those branching storylines that are compelling have been Witcher 3 and Odyssey. I
Well,
mean, I don't know,
Mass
like,
Effect
for this
too.
generation.
Mass Effect as
Well,
well.
I'm talking this generation.
Oh,
This
okay.
generation.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Well,
this generation.
well, let me just say this. Again, it's interesting. It's exciting, especially if you're a fan of the game. And I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do. I mean, who knows? At this point, they could give it away for free as a thank you to everyone that supported the game. It could be $10 or $15. We don't know. But you know what? We're getting close to the 2-hour mark, and I kind of want to close out today's show with Resident Evil 2, the demo that dropped last night. I'm not sure if everyone got a chance to play it. I stayed up last night. I played it till past 1 a.m. I got my 30 minutes in. I was devastated when it ended because I was just about to get to the second and third floor of the police precinct. And I was like, holy shit, I'm getting really far. And just as I'm ready to take that corner, a zombie comes out and the screen goes black. I'm like, wait a second, I didn't die. And it says, thanks for playing. And I'm like, damn it, you 30 minutes. So I'm going to say this. First of all, Resident Evil 2 is my game of the year 2019. I've called it already. I called it in 2018.
Played 30 minutes of it.
It's my game of the year. It's my game of my generation as a gamer. 40 plus years gaming. Resident 2 98 still stands as number one. I think that this might overshadow it. What I played was amazing. The graphics on the X look stunning. Mind you, this is the demo. I cannot wait to the 25th of January. I have the collector's editions pre-ordered. No surprise there. I will be doing an unboxing on my channel, dressed up as a hopefully close enough to a Raccoon Police Department dude. I have all my gear. I just don't have Leon's costume. I'm not spending $500 to get it. It's ridiculous, but I will work it out. Anyway, Slow-Mo, I want to get to you. Did you get a chance to play? Are you going to play today? And are you getting Resident Evil 2?
Oh, boom! I'm gonna have to disappoint you.
You're gonna break my heart.
I'm not too interested in it, man. And just like I have never really been that big of a Resident Evil fan. I get it. There's a lot of people that love the series, and for good reason. The majority of them early on were really excellent, and Capcom kind of got away from it for a while. But the reboot looks amazing, and I'm glad they just completely redid the game from the ground up. It looks great. For me, it's more because I'm not that big of a Resident Evil fan. It's more of I'll pick this up on the sale sometime in spring or summer kind of game for me, and then I'll eventually get into it. I haven't done the demo. I think I might do the demo this weekend though. I completely forgot that it was
30 minutes.
Out.
Start
30 minutes. Yeah. I mean, why not? Like it's in 4K.
It may change your mind.
It may change. We'll see. I'll do it this weekend. We'll see what happens. But for me right now, it's a wait and see instead of a day one buy. I'm not getting the collector's edition and the whole outfit like you do or everything. It's
yeah. No,
I'm not that big of a fan of it, but I completely understand being all in on that series because it's a video game mainstay. It's a IP that really is never going to go away, and something that Capcom can always rely on for those Resident Evil fans to come back and play it again.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it changes your mind. Zolker, I want to get your take on this. Did you play the demo? And if you didn't, are you going to?
I wasn't able to download it. Me and Dealer were talking about it last night, and we both couldn't get it for some reason. We were up pretty late, and we couldn't find it. We couldn't download it, so we were just like, maybe we'll check it out today. I might check out the demo. I'm not the biggest Resident Evil fan, and to be honest, I'm not that big of a Capcom fan.
Okay.
I just, after what they announced, I think a little bit before E3 or a little after E3 about how they're just going to double down on franchises they already have, and they're not going to make any new IPs because it's a big investment, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like disappoints me as a developer. Like, be a little more creative, get some stuff out there. Let's have some new experiences.
Yeah.
But I know you're looking. I know you're looking forward to it. And I know it's already like your game of life. I get it, and I get it. But you know what, man? I'm sorry, man. Gears 5 is coming, and that's all I can say about this.
I get it. I hear it. Listen, everyone has their likes and dislikes. I say if you get a chance to play the demo, please give it a shot. It might change your mind. Jamie, I want to get your take on this. Did you play the demo? And if you didn't, is it something you're looking to do?
Well, I finished downloading when I went to sleep, so
okay.
I haven't had a chance to play it. But Resident Evil 2 is one of my all-time favorite games, and I'm looking forward to playing it. It's just that that 30-minute timer, like that doesn't sit right with me, because Capcom's been doing this with a few demos now. They did it with Dead Rising 3, I think it was, where you could only play for 20 minutes. Like it's okay, I guess. But look, the game looks fantastic from what I've seen. The game's gory. The voice acting is actually good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's on point.
Like this looks like, this could replace Resident Evil 2 as one of my favorite games of all time if the whole game plays and looks how it looks in the trailers, basically.
Yeah, no, trust me, it is, and I think you're going to be very impressed once you play it today. Titan Drago, close this out. Resident Evil 2, is it a day one purchase? Are you going to play the demo, or have you even played the demo as of yet?
All right. Well, first of all, I think we all just saw Boom's O face when he opened up with this topic, because we all just saw him blow his load on podcast over Resident Evil 2.
Yes,
but
live on the air.
So
pardon me while I go to the toilet, folks.
That's right. He's got to clean up. I hope you got some wipes over there or something. But I've got a spare 30 minutes to try somewhere, and I'll try the demo, and I'll let you guys know what I think of it. But is it a what first second buy for me? No. Is it my game of the life? No. But I mean, I'm not gonna throw it out the window.
Okay, I mean, listen, that's fair. Everyone seems a little bit reserved, and that's cool. I totally get that. I want to say this. First of all, the show was amazing from start to finish. Normally we run a little over 2 hours, but I have to get my nephew from school. He's getting out, has a half a day, so I had to bug out of here. But you know what? I want to thank the chat. Once again, you guys were absolutely outstanding. Treating each other nice is what I love to see in the chat. It has been called by several people the friendliest chat in gaming, and I'm very proud of that. My panel was absolutely outstanding from start to finish. Let's do these outros. Slow-mo, I want to start with you, dude. Listen, first of all, I tell you this all the time. I love your avatar. I think it's the best one I've ever seen. I think that what you do in this community is important. I think what you have to say is always well thought out and calculated. I love what you do on BRAP. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, Boom, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you, man. You're a good guy, and I love coming on here and just shooting it and talking, man. It's a lot of fun. As you said, I'm on BRAP, which is on the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, and it's on Wednesdays 9 p.m. Easterns. And I'm also on the Scumcast with the Ash and Luca, which things get a little wild on Saturday. Yeah. Zalker's on there with me too. It gets crazy. Please check us out. You're guaranteed to have a good time, and that is, I wish I could give you an exact time, but really the exact time is whenever Luca's hair appointment is done. So
I love it. That's great.
It's like anywhere between like 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. You figure you'll find out.
Yeah, she puts out the information. She'll put out a tweet, so she keeps everybody up to date, even though it's a little bit of a wacky schedule. Zalker, listen, I have to say this, dude. You are a rising star in the YouTube streets. I love the fact that you just passed. You're actually just a few subs away from 600. That is a big deal. I was there only about 8 months ago. I think that you're going to be in the thousands before you know it. You bring a lot of passion to RDX. I think you're a good dude. And please tell everyone where they can follow you, and more importantly, sub your channel.
Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah, people, you guys can go to Zalker87. That's my YouTube channel, and at Zalker87 on Twitter. Follow me on there. But yeah, Boom, thank you so much for the kind words. I am almost at 600, I think. I mean, I don't know, I haven't checked, but I'm almost there. I'm having a good time with the YouTube community. Everybody's been extremely welcoming, especially in RDX, like the crew and everybody. Boom invited me on here, even when I was a small little nobody walking around, but then he heard my comic book knowledge and he was like, brother. So yeah, we had yeah, man, it's all great.
Everyone has a voice, no matter how big or small. That's how this channel was built on the backs of this community, and that's how it's always going to remain. Jamie, you are in the hunt for 1,000 subs. You've been doing YouTube for a while. I do really enjoy your work. I love your videos. I think that you have a dry sense of humor, but I've been watching you for a while, and I think that you, in 2019, you will hit your 1,000 goal. Tell everyone where they can find you, and more importantly, subscribe to your channel.
Oh, thanks, dude. Well, my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. My Twitter is Jamie Moran UK. I've got plenty of videos coming, podcasts and whatnot. It's going to be exciting. But, YouTube kind of hurt my channel a while ago because they age gated it because of a geese of war unboxing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, which is stupid. But yeah, I need to hit 1,000 soon, hopefully. But yeah, thanks for having us on. This was awesome. I want to do more podcasts. It's fun.
Yeah, well, you do a good job, dude, and I think you're going to hit that 1,000. And last but certainly not least, a very good friend of mine who I worked with as soon as last night and now today, Titan Drago. I love your attitude. I love your knowledge of gaming, and I love that you're very honest when you talk about it. Tell everyone where they can find you and sub your YouTube channel.
Yeah, everything at Titan Drago, everybody. I'm talking YouTube, I'm talking Xbox, and I'm talking Twitter. And we have such a cool community of gamers on YouTube and Twitter. And I sent a tweet out about growing this community of active people on Twitter. And I'm not saying watch every video or like every post or anything like that. Just something, just be a part of the community,
Yep.
like support here and there. You don't have to watch everything, but I've met so many cool people from like Royalty to Salty to Boom to freaking. There's so many cool people I've met, and you're really truly missing out if you're just one of those people on Twitter to be there for yourself, and it's a shame. But I want to thank all my followers for following me and we laugh every day, and I want to thank them for bringing the common back to sense.
I love it. Well, listen, once again, guys, I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank this incredible community for supporting me. And I want to say, have a fantastic weekend. And I will see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Have a fantastic day, everybody.
Let everybody